The voice of Husker Nation is on the air. This is Hail Varsity Radio. Insight, opinion, expertise, along with the biggest names talking Nebraska sports. Join in with the show at 402-489-1240 or 1-800-825-5865. Now, here are your hosts, Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
Welcome to it. Fridays here. It's Hail Varsity. We're powered by Cornhead Lager. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel Elijah is grinning ear to ear.
I had the
happy
speakers.
It's Friday.
I had the speakers turned up in here, and I didn't quite realize it. So what happens whenever your microphone is on in a radio station? The speakers turn off as to stop any ambient noise coming through from the speakers. You get a feedback. It gets really gross. So my mic had been on previous to the start of the show, so I didn't realize my speakers were cranked up to like 9. So as soon as you come in to start this show, it about blew my ears out. So that's what the smile, it was a smile of like a grimace of pain, but hey.
That's fair.
We're good now.
And many are nodding with you wherever you're catching us. It's the grimace of pain. When I open the show from time to time. But no, we're going to get you into the weekend. Excited to have you in. Can always watch the show, Hail Varsity YouTube channel. Like and subscribe there. And we're streaming across many different platforms. Husker Baseball in action, of course. Right now, Nebraska's led off with a single. See if they do some damage. They hung on 2-1 against Sparty last night. We'll talk some Big Red baseball. Joba Chamberlain with us in about 15 minutes. In hour 2, the Pride of Fairbury, Bill Doleman with us. Clausburn to wind and round things out. We're hoping at 5:40. He's on a call, he says, and I don't know who the call is with, but we'll check in with Clausburn. 489-1240, 489-1240, number to get in, 800-825-5865. Can follow the show on Twitter, the Hail Varsity Radio Twitter feed at HVarsity Radio. Catch us streaming on Twitter as well. Omaha's ESPN AM 590, KFOR Facebook and Twitter. And then Central Nebraska's Superstation, Kearney Hastings, Grand Island, ESPN Superstation, 1460, 1550, and News Talk 900 in Columbus, where you can catch us digitally and good old-fashioned radio. Chris at hailvarsity.com. Send your emails. We'll get into the East Stadium, West Stadium, South Stadium revelation from Athletic Director Troy Dannon. We'll get there. Skeens is on one today against the Cubs. He's been fun to follow. But golf, we hit golf from time to time. But how just nuts, bizarro world, crazy has this Scottie Scheffler thing been? Is maybe you're a casual golf fan, maybe you're a diehard golf fan, maybe you don't care at all, but there's some drama and this thing has taken hold. Twitter, quite frankly, has been hilarious with all of their creativity. In a honest sense, you've had a person die, which sucks, and that needs to be remembered. Scottie Scheffler's for sure made that a point of emphasis. So we'll hear from Scottie Scheffler, had his post-round presser, finished at -8, did some stretching in jail. Elijah, some of us have been detained, some of us haven't been many moons ago, and there's just no part of movie, Hollywood, or real life where stretching in jail are talked about in a positive sense, but apparently it got Scheffler in the right frame of mind. Let's kind of get you caught up if you've just seen bits and pieces. So this is from Mark Schleybaugh, the police officer who attempted to stop number one golfer Scottie Scheffler from entering Valhalla Golf Club on Friday was dragged to the ground, suffered pain, swelling, and abrasions. to his left wrist and his knee as Scheffler's car accelerated, according to an incident report by the Louisville Metro Police Department. Backstory to that, 5 a.m., it is Scheffler. It is a traffic congestion because you had a courtesy van hit and kill a pedestrian. So pedestrian's dead crossing the street. It's dark, it's rainy. That's awful. Traffic is backed up. You have Scheffler in his vehicle trying to go eastbound, gets to a left lane, tries to go westbound to enter into the main gate, was stopped by an officer. Scheffler was told, per his attorney, and we'll hear from his attorney in a moment, to go ahead by one traffic officer up the road, it would seem, Elijah, to go ahead and exit and get to the club. Well, he was halted by another officer, kept going, and the officer engaged with Scheffler's vehicle, trying to pull him out. That's the report. And then you have Jeff Darlington's video and audio, about 50 seconds worth, of one officer saying, dude's going to jail because he did not obey traffic instructions. And you've got charges that have been filed against the world number one golfer, Scottie Scheffler. That's getting you caught up. But this is incredible to process with a guy on the top of his game to have such a weird moment. My rule of thumb, and I love police, they tell me to do something, I'm doing it, end of discussion. Now, to Scottie Scheffler's credit, celebrity and fame can change people. It does not appear to have changed Scottie Scheffler, where the do you know who I am card or big timing somebody never came into play. He was cooperative. Somewhere in the middle of all of this, we'll have, I don't want to say the truth, but a cleaner story.
Yeah, and we'll see. I just think my take on it today is, what a ridiculous story. What a ridiculous turn of events. I mean, first off, you start off with the tragedy, and I don't want to brush that to the side. It's horrible, but it's also not necessarily the story today, and you understand why. It's the number one golfer in the world getting arrested 2 hours before a tee time in a major tournament based on a misunderstanding. And it's shocking to me that nobody at any point in this saga just said, you know what? This is ridiculous. We're taking the number one golfer to jail over a misunderstanding 2 hours before his tee time. Like, I know the job of police officers is not public relations, but I'm surprised somebody of importance in the city of Louisville did not hop on the horn and say, hey, you guys did not need to arrest Scottie Scheffler this morning. Let's just try to cut our losses and let's get him back to the golf course. This is a misunderstanding where one officer told him one thing, another officer is trying to stop him. You don't know what happened in between, but like, why is he going to jail? I mean, there's the aspect of dragging the police officer with his car, which I want to get more information on. We don't really have.
I want to see it with body cam. It's 10 yards. Think about your vehicle. I mean, a Range Rover in this instance, right? I mean, did you think you were being waved forward? If you're Scheffler, you weren't. The officer leaps onto your vehicle, A-team style, and then falls off. I mean, that's what's nuts. And here's the charges: assault, second degree of a police officer, criminal mischief, third degree, reckless driving, disregarding signals from an officer directing traffic. I mean, there's 4 charges here. And there's been a lot of shade thrown at Detective Gillis for including that, $80 ripped pants of his uniform. And again, I love police and respect police and can't thank police enough for all they do, because they run to the fight, man. The police on the scene are there trying to figure out what happened at 5 a.m. with a pedestrian getting hit. And then it just kind of comes down to communication, right? From one traffic region to a next. And it's just brutal, just absolutely brutal.
What it feels like to me, and again, we don't have as much information as we would like in this circumstance. I'm sure we'll get more information in the coming days with how high profile this is. But it feels like somebody went to jail today in Scottie Scheffler over a misunderstanding between law enforcement officials who are not on the same page. Like it feels like the law enforcement officials aren't on the same page. It led to a miscommunication for Scottie Scheffler, and Scottie Scheffler ends up in jail because of it. More information could come out that proves me wrong, and I want to make sure I make that clear right now. But that's what it feels like from the outside looking in, and that doesn't seem right to me.
The other part of this too is if Scheffler was an a-hole and was just, I'm Scottie Scheffler, I need to get to the club, get into my routine, don't tell me what to do. And I'm not saying that doesn't sound like him based on what his peers and reporters tell us, right? He's too good to be true. So I need to know if the law enforcement, and by all accounts, you had a high level of irritation because of the situation with the different law enforcement that were spoken to by reporters. They were ticked off about the situation. And did they, again, with the utmost respect for law, are they having a bad day? Did this officer, is he having a bad day? And did he take it out on somebody? I mean, that's also the question. Let's hear from Scottie Scheffler's attorney.
Oh, 1 second. Got it now.
Sure.
Second, criminal mischief, disregarding traffic control signals.
So what happened this morning?
He was going into Valhalla to work out and get ready for his tee time. They were directing traffic. He held his media credential out and was going in like they'd been instructed to. And apparently there had been a traffic accident or maybe even a fatality down the road, and that had changed the traffic patterns. And he was unaware of that. And, I think the officer that was directing traffic was maybe not part of the event traffic detail, and so that's where the miscommunication arose, and that's why we're here.
So other PGA golfers have been let through this morning, and he was under the impression that it could go through?
Yes. Well, they are allowed to go through. That's why they have the credentials, their way through, and so unaware that there had been a wreck, he proceeded like they'd been instructed to.
About how long was he out at Valhalla with LMPD before being taken back here?
Yeah, all this is we'll just litigate the case as it comes. Scottie will cooperate fully, and we'll just deal with it as it progresses.
What happens from here?
No, he did exactly as he was instructed to do to enter the premises.
Let's hear from Scheffler, and this is the only comment he made. He didn't get into details, but Marty Smith asked him this after his 5-under round today.
Yeah, first of all, my sympathies go out to the family, Mr. Mills. I can't imagine what they're going through this morning. One day he's heading to the golf course to watch a tournament, and a few moments later he's trying to cross the street, and now he's no longer with us. So I can't imagine what they're going through. My heart, I feel for them. I'm sorry. My situation will get handled. It was just it was a chaotic situation and a big misunderstanding, and I can't comment on any of the specifics of it. So I feel like y'all are gonna be disappointed, but can't comment on any specifics. But my situation will be handled. It was just a big misunderstanding. So if y'all got any questions about the golf today, I'm happy to answer them. But outside of that, I can't really get into what transpired outside of, my heart goes out to the family.
Do we have the stretching part?
I believe so.
Okay.
I don't really know. I feel like my head's still spinning. I can't really explain what happened this morning. I did spend some time stretching in a jail cell. That was a first for me. That was part of my warm-up. I was just sitting there waiting, and, I started going through my warm-up. I felt like there was a chance I may be able to still come out here and play, and so I started going through my routine. I tried to get my heart rate down as much as I could today, but like I said, I still feel like my head's spinning a little bit. But, I was fortunate to be able to make it back out and play some golf.
So that is Scottie Scheffler. This is a story like, yeah, we got X, Y, and Z bail when he played for Oakland. He'll make kickoff. But this is a whole different animal with the PGA. Joba Chamberlain coming up. Let's get our starting five here in the StreamYard. Hail Varsity YouTube and you, Grandpa. 3 days in a row, man. In at number one. Justin is in. Cliff is in from Florida. Says the cottonmouth snakes are out. He sent you some just wild-looking rattlesnake pictures, didn't he?
Well, we thought he was making an innuendo joke about snakes yesterday, and then
you want to see my snake?
And he sends me pictures of his snakes, and I go, "Oh, he wasn't kidding." It was a nasty looking snake.
Rattlesnake, man. So, Cliff, thank you for your snake pictures.
Not an innuendo.
Eat beef in at number 4. You're going to clip that, aren't you? Dylan in at 5. Good to have him. NASCAR Eric, good to have you. Other Brian says, happy Friday. Shane is here. Black Hills Brennan. Mr. Snitley. Jeff Snitley in. We'll have more roll call. Joba Chamberlain next.
And now,
back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with you, it's Hail Varsity, powered by Cornhead Lager, Schmidt and Elijah Herbel. Time to talk some Husker baseball. Joba Chamberlain, 2-time World Series champ, Husker Hall of Famer, joins us. Joba will talk some Big Red baseball in a moment. Of course, the Scottie Scheffler story has been dominant. The footnote of today, John Daly, of course, withdrawing from the PGA Championship because of a thumb injury. Any interaction with Big John ever?
Yeah, I had an interesting one. We're in Tampa during spring training, and you got to get away from the field every once in a while. So I was like, what better way than to go to the casino, get a good steak, and maybe hit the tables and the slots a little bit, and walk in, and John Daly has like a big gulp of, I have no idea what it was. Didn't ask.
Probably a John Daly.
Maybe a Diet Coke. He's ripping heaters. And there's 5 slot machines. And he literally is sitting in the middle one, and he is playing every slot machine max bet. I was like, I don't even want to play. I just want to watch at this point. So I was like, I'll just sit here and we'll chew the fat and see what happens. And it's ding, 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 ding. Oh, I lost. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, I lost. And it was just, tickets coming out left and right. I was like, I don't even want to gamble anymore. I just want to watch.
I would actually, if John Daly started a YouTube channel where he just live streamed him going to the casino and playing the slots, I'd tune in. I'd check it out.
100%. No, I'm telling you, seeing it live firsthand, it is an absolute anomaly. I was just like, how can you pay attention? But literally, it was just boom, 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 boom.
Good dude, though. Was it just a normal chat? Hey, how are you, Joba? Hey, how are you, John? How are you hitting them? How are you throwing them?
Yeah, it was like you were hanging out with one of your buddies.
Yeah.
And, he sits there, he hits a couple buttons, turns back, and he's like, and when you guys play again, blah, blah, blah. And no, just a great dude. He was awesome. It was an interesting, because we had never met before. And I was with my assistant at the time, and he golfed in college. Mm-hmm. And so he geeked out and, of course, went in, and he's like, hey, I work for so-and-so. He's like, oh, yeah, I know him. And I was like, taken back, because I was like, why would you even know me? Like, whatever, mm-hmm. like early in my career. And mm-hmm. and so, but yeah, just, sat there and, just chopped it up, and he just continued to press the button. And I just sat there in amazement.
That's pretty good. Joba Chamberlain's with us, Hail Varsity Radio. Craziness with the Scheffler story, but John Daly always brings a smile to your face when you look at just the carefree attitude. And one of the many things you saw on Twitter today was the theory that John was just calling an audible on the thumb injury. We're joking, of course. This is per Twitter that, this traffic's a pain in the ass. Let's get to Hooters. My thumb hurts.
See, I'm thinking it was probably like, they're arresting golfers today. They can't search my car. I gotta get out of here.
I'm going to be at Hooters. They can't get me.
Let's get some wings. So Joba, as we chat, Nebraska underway with Michigan State. Big one yesterday for Nebraska. Another incredible start by Brett Sears, 8-0, 11th quality start. Caleb Clark put the hammer down, 2 1/3, and Nebraska found a way 2-1, despite the inability to get some 2-out hits. That kind of comes and goes. But above all, Nebraska making some gems defensively. What's the momentum meter for you right now as we're a week out from the Big Ten tournament? Lot to play for this weekend for Nebraska. And then they have staved off that worry of being on the bubble. They've figured that out thanks to the Indiana series. So how are you looking at this team as the regular season winds?
I think you take it as obviously one game at a time. I'm not going to be cliche and say it that way, but where you take the momentum going into the Big Ten tournament, which starts on Tuesday, and knowing, we put ourselves in a good position is carry the momentum as you finish. Like let's not harp on midweek. Let's not harp on anything that, go back and woulda, coulda, shoulda. And it's now it's like a 2-1 ball game. Yeah. Was there great instances in that game? Yes, 100%. Were there times that we, didn't get across and what we wanted to do? But at the end of the day, we won the game. So carry the momentum from this last series into the Big Ten tournament. And we all know as baseball fans and everybody listening, it's like, it is contagious. Winning is contagious. And carry the momentum going into it, because you get hot at the right time, especially with this team and the arms that we have. And, there's some uncertainty in certain areas, but we got enough to be dangerous and to put us in a great situation and just carry that momentum going into it, knowing, what you have not only on the mound, but at the plate. And that little uncertainty, you can't look back on anything. It's you focus on what you have, stay with who's hot, and go from there.
Yeah, Joba, it's baseball is a game of confidence. And as you look at this team, are there any signs that you watch for in terms of a team that's clicking and has that confidence at the right time? Because you look back at last week, Friday night, that was a team that looked low on confidence with how that game ended. Indiana coming back and winning the game in the 9th inning. But then Saturday comes around and Sunday comes around, and it looks like a team that has confidence again. Are there any signs, maybe small things you look for that shows you a baseball team has confidence? Or is it just wins and losses?
This team has been very Jekyll and Hyde with me all season, where I feel like we get to a point and it's like, okay, boom, you know what, here we go. And then next thing you know, the wheels fall off. So I don't necessarily know the signs of it. I think what I would love to see more of is consistency, and the fact where just from a blind eye, because we're not at practice every day, we don't see these things. We're not in their heads and all the other stuff. And so I think just more the signs, just the consistency of how we have all watched the games transpire. and kind of when we have won and lost. I love a 2-1 game because at the same time, you didn't break and you didn't have a chance to because it was 2-1. And I think that's a great sign, but it's also telling too in the way you said it. It's like one game we look like that where we bend but we don't break, and then there's other days where we fold up like a lawn chair. So just the consistency, I think, for me in every situation, knowing that they're all as equally important is probably the one thing that I would really, really like to see more of.
Joba Chamberlain with us, few minutes. It's Hail Varsity Radio, Nebraska, Michigan State, Game 2. So with that consistency part, you have a body of work for sure with McConaughey, with Sears, really, and recently Brockett, and then you've seen Caleb Clark really thrive. You're on a great outing not long ago from Christo that Will Bolt really talked about, kind of a big boy moment this week, and you had to have it, and Nebraska got it from him against Indiana. Moving forward, is it a smaller table, so to speak, with who you turn to arm-wise after your starter? Do you ride your starter longer at this point in the year? Is that where Nebraska's at?
I think especially with those two in Sears and McConaughey, I think now their leash is a little bit longer because you're getting to a point where it's kind of win or go home or win or put ourselves in better situations. Mm-hmm. And I think with those two, with the inconsistency of kind of what that bullpen has been and, people being in different situations, I think you said it beautifully, is they get a little bit longer leash. I mean, Brockett's obviously came on strong late, which is huge. Christo throwing the ball well, and obviously he's gotten every chance to do it in different roles, and that's where it goes back to the consistency part. But the confidence is contagious when you go have this outing. Now you go into this, and what also too in that respect is, okay, you're putting me in this situation at this time of the year. Okay, I don't want to let you down. And you got to remember, we're still talking about kids here. And the emotion comes into play as it does with everybody who's competitive. I don't care if it's checkers or playing baseball. It's part of it. But yeah, I think those guys get a little bit longer leash. And then your group of trusted people out of the pen becomes a little smaller. We can't continue to run people out there in an experiment. And, I hate to say it that way, but, when you're coming into the Big Ten tournament and then hopefully a regional, I think the guys that have proven and not even proven, like they've earned that leash. They've earned to where it's like, okay, all right, I'm toast. Like if you come out for a visit and you ask me how I'm doing, like I gave it all I got, I'm done. And I think that's where you have to be with those two. You kind of navigate the other ones in that aspect. So I feel like it'll be a smaller group. There obviously will be some matchups that end up happening where there's somebody else, but it just becomes a smaller group because it's the games are so magnified. Not to say that every game is important. I'm not saying that, but these ones are a little different now.
Joba Chamberlain, Hail Varsity Radio will have a new Triple Play podcast drop with Hurrdat Sports this weekend. Plenty of thoughts on Skeens, on golf, and Husker Baseball. Joba, always love chatting some ball with you, man. Thanks for giving us a few minutes.
Anytime, guys.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Good stuff from Joba Chamberlain. Hail Varsity with you on a Friday, powered by Cornhead Lager. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel. Hope you're doing okay. And a good take on Joba and Nebraska. So far, so good for Mason McConaughey and the Big Red. They're, at least per Twitter here, 2-out Magic, a real thing this Friday after non-existent yesterday, but Big Red up 5-0 in the top of the second, still bringing runners home. And McConaughey, so far, so good. Sanderson just able to get one over the shortstop's head. You got a bomb by Josh Caron with a bat flip to boot, and the Big Red doing work. 489-1240 numbers to get in. Bill Doleman here about 20 minutes away. 489-1240 number to get in. So Black Hills Brennan, we spent quite a bit of time on Scottie Scheffler and how things went sideways. We'll have some more comments from some of Scheffler's peers here after 50 this hour. Brennan from the Black Hills, 8 hours of golf course mowing. Now he's ready for beer and Hail Varsity. Appreciate you, Brennan.
Speaking of beer, you want to hear what Will Wilson and I have cooked up behind the scenes here at the radio station today?
Is there beer in the fridge?
No. Will, and for our local listeners, you hear him on the morning hookup here locally on KFOR. For those that are not here locally, you're missing out. You can check that out in podcast form. We've decided, with Will being a big Timberwolves fan, with me being a big Nuggets fan.
Steak and a beer?
Close. Instead of a steak and a beer, it's
cow and a keg?
No. Whoever loses, whichever team loses, so if the Nuggets lose, the Timberwolves lose, whatever happens, the losing team will be required. So if the Timberwolves lose, Will, again, if the Nuggets lose, me. So say the Nuggets lose on Sunday, I will be required to go to a Salt Dogs baseball game this summer and attempt a 9-beer, 9-dog challenge. So those are the terms. The other person,
so there's no real loser.
No. The loser is going to be the person eating the 9 dogs and 9 beers and 9 innings while the other person laughs at their pain, all while documenting their experience on Twitter. So that's what we've decided on. We had a couple of options. One was the loser has to get a spray tan. We decided I'd look too good with a spray tan. Kidding. We also discussed the loser has to go take the ACT at some point this summer and then post their score on Twitter.
What did you get on the ACT?
We don't have to talk about it on the air.
Really?
No.
You didn't do well?
There. No, I did well. We don't have to go there, though. It's like, it's like Scottie Scheffler. He doesn't have to name drop when he's getting arrested. I don't have to drop my score on...
You probably got a 34, didn't you?
No comment.
Yeah.
But I could not do that well now, so that would be the hilarity that would ensue there. What was the other? Oh, the other option was 24 hours into McDonald's. Every McDouble you eat takes an hour off of your time. That one was discussed. That one we decided might be too risky towards our health.
Well, I don't know that you have got a 24-hour McDonald's, do you?
There's, I think, still one or two in Lincoln, I believe.
Really?
I think the one at 66th and O area, I believe, is still 24 hours a day, at least on the weekends.
Okay.
And then the last one we discussed was the loser has to run next year's marathon, and that just sounded like too much of a punishment.
Both of you would not make it, and I'm not saying I would either. So we told you about more roll call here. Jeff Snitley in from the Boulder Peace Treaty. He's fishing for crappie. Good for him. It's beautiful out. Patrick is in. KG, wanted to shout out KG. Tuck is here as well. Michael, thanks for checking in. Michael Wright, good to have you. And also Vay saying what's up from Colorado Springs. Tiger Shark Diver is in. I'm on one today with my Bloody Mary. Good for you. Bloody sounds pretty good. I got a 40th birthday party to get to a little later, a couple of graduations to hit as well. Brian is here. Asking the question, was the officer's name Roscoe P. Coltrane or Buford T. Justice? Well played, Cliff. Man. Matthew's in as well. Ross says, what's up? And this leads us to what Ross is asking about or giving us the heads up on. We saw this as well. Mangham is off to Michigan. We'll dive into the stadium project and where it's going a little bit after 5. But Elijah, you have a safety that we're talking over 50 tackles. We're talking 4 interceptions, a cover and in the box guy in Jaden Mangham. You and I both circled him as a guy that not only had a great game against Nebraska when we were in East Lansing last year, but a guy that once you saw him hit the portal, you're like, as nice as Nebraska's secondary is with Buford coming back, Singleton coming back, Giff coming back. I mean, you've got dudes, but you have Jaden that would have been a nice get. And Nebraska hosted him early in the week, was in town Monday. That's right after Ohio State. But he's going to stick close to home and go to Michigan on 3, announcing that. He was honorable mention All Big Ten. He's absolutely a candidate for All Big Ten this year. 3rd team, 2nd team for sure. But his athleticism and his agility is big to go on top of his toughness. And he's a guy that really contributed as a freshman. Now, I'll say this, guys that are departing East Lansing, I think are jumping too soon, because I think Jonathan Smith, I don't know that he gets to D'Antonio level consistency where you're on a 6-year heater, but I think they can get there once or twice. Jonathan Smith's a hell of a good coach, recruits, develops, you know the story. And he did it at Oregon State. And this is when Oregon State was brutally down. He just kind of took all the air quote leftovers from the West Coast. He didn't go to Washington or didn't go play for Leach at Washington State before he left or didn't go to Oregon or SC. He just got a bunch of 2- and 3-star dudes that played ball. Mm-hmm. So I hope Trent Bray does well at Oregon State. I liked him when he was at Nebraska. But Jonathan Smith will do okay, I think, at Michigan State.
Yeah, we'll see. It's a new Big Ten. And simply put, with the amount of money coming into the Big Ten, I wonder how long runways will be for new coaches, if you get what I'm saying.
It depends, too, if they've got They whacked Mel for cause. Does that hold up?
I mean, based on the facts of the story as I understand them, I think they will. We'll see.
Same.
That will play out in time. But like with media rights increasing, I don't think buyouts are going to become as big of an issue as they may be for other schools. Like I think there might be a lot more schools following the Nebraska route of when it's time for a coach to go, it's time for a coach to go regardless of what the buyout is.
Don't kid yourself though that revenue sharing is going to be another 15 to 20 million you need to raise in your budget.
That's true.
So that could counteract you're willing to spend in buyout.
And I think that goes into something we're going to talk about here in just a moment with the new stadium renovations, needing to get more money out of that stadium with revenue sharing on the horizon.
Mm-hmm. Nope, there it is. We'll wind down hour 1. Hail Varsity continues, powered by Cornhead Lager.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
One final time on your first hour, Friday edition, Hail Varsity, powered by Cornhead Lager, Schmidt and Elijah Herbel. As we'll get to Bill Doleman here in about 10 minutes. Some room for you in hour 2. You want to chime in, 489-1240. Steven still driving along. And tuning us in. YouTube can do it. The Hail Varsity YouTube channel. Check that out. You can stream us on the Hail Varsity Radio Twitter feed. Your time, your segments, full show, or what you want to hear. Spotify, iTunes, Google Play is also how you can take us with. Subscribe and like. Give us feedback. We appreciate the kind words or the constructive criticism. 489-1240. So, Elijah, we spent a lot of time in that first segment on Scottie Scheffler. This was a comment from Will Zalatoris. Of course, he's golfed on the Corn Ferry Tour at Champions Club in Omaha. We love that event that Hurrdat puts on and helps promote. Incredible there. And Zalatoris, a winner there. Zalatoris at Wilderness just 2 or 3 years ago as well. And Will's done a really nice job on the PGA Tour. But he was asked about what was going on by Marty Smith. Will Zalatoris says he believes the PGA Championship tournament organizers should have held off play for 4 to 5 hours Friday morning, thoroughly investigated the fatality that caused the traffic backup. Then he brought the players into play. Instead, you have Scottie weaving in and out of traffic cones, trying to get to the golf course. And now the world number one is arrested. Again, it sounds like one officer said, yeah, go ahead. And another officer said, what the hell? Zalatoris walked from his house. And it took him 2 hours to walk 2 miles because of just how the traffic was backed up because of this poor fatality.
My question is,
we had a shuttle bus kill a man.
Sorry, not to make light of an awful situation, but was he just walking down the side of the street with like the golf club strapped to his back?
I'm sure they're in the clubhouse.
That checks out. Okay, that would make sense. I was just like, how would you handle that situation there? Well, 2 miles, 2 hours is really awful time for walking. I understand there was extenuating circumstances.
Even for me.
Like, that's not great time. So I'm wondering, like, did he have golf clubs weighing him down? Like, I don't know, but he does bring up a really good point with a fatal accident occurring outside your golf course. Why can't we delay the tournament for a couple hours on a Friday? I know that the TV partners probably wouldn't like that. They have their schedules put in place, but Brian.
The other Brian says, what the hell was he walking on his hands?
2 hours and 2 miles is that's a bad time. As somebody who
it's a bear crawl.
I do like 2.5 and 45 minutes pretty routinely. That's a bad time.
So Mark tweeted out Scottie's last 6 starts: champion, tied for second, champion, prison. And Shooter McGavin today on Twitter welcomed Scottie to the club. Maybe you saw that meme where it was all the mug shots. It was Shooter's DUI mug shot. It was Tiger's mug shot. Who am I missing?
Daly.
Yeah, John Daly's mug shot, and then Scheffler in the orange. I'm going to wear orange tomorrow when I golf in honor of Scottie.
Someone did say Nike Golf needs to get that orange polo shipped to the golf course immediately for Scottie on Sunday.
That's pretty good. Well, and then you had the Prison Mike segment from The Office telling everybody what prison's like. So there you go. Wow. Cliff says, I worked at the penitentiary. Scheffler's too pretty.
Wow.
Brennan, Ricky Fowler wore it better.
Meanwhile, we have absolutely blown through a hard break here. So apologies to the affiliates. We need to get out.
Oh, we'll get out now. Bill Doleman on the way.
He's the pride of Fairbury, an average Joe. Bill Doleman, the professor.
I had a 6 ACT in 1967. One time I got an A and my grandma beat me for cheating.
Now with Hail Varsity Radio.
Back into it. It's hour 2. It's Hail Varsity, powered by Cornhead Lager, Schmidt and Elijah Herbel, the pride of Fairbury. Bill Doleman, the professor, as he is getting through finals week. That is just a makeshift Voss behind him. It's not an empty bottle. Billy D, how we doing?
I'm learning now, a couple of years into this teaching thing, that finals week is a lot tougher for the teachers than it is for the students, right? I mean, it is like tax time for an accountant. And there's a lot of accounting involved too, especially for guys like Connor Clark, where trying to get him across the finish line the best we can, but he's got this salt dog gig thing, and so it's but it's a challenging time. It's a fun time though, too, seeing some getting ready to graduate and move on in life.
Is Connor Clark the type of kid that would try and whiz by an officer?
Hey, talk about the entrepreneurial spirit. The T-shirts that were already at Valhalla when he teed off at 10 or whatever it was. I mean, that was amazing.
And he's high-fiving folks, Scottie Scheffler, of course, as he's walking off his final hole, 9 under, mind you. Is it 9 under or 6 under?
I don't know, but it's a pretty good day.
He's in contention is the point.
8 under,
It's
I think.
a pretty good day for a guy who spent his morning in the Huskow.
Well, did you hear the story where he's like, yeah, I was in prison this morning watching myself on TV get arrested while I'm stretching out getting ready for the first hole. And my reaction was, I didn't know they had TVs in prison.
Who's gutsy enough to stretch in jail?
He might not have been working out his hamstrings, but anyway, that is one of the most amazingly bizarre stories in my 50-plus years of life on Earth and 35 years in the sports media business. The Scottie Scheffler, and look, it's a tragic situation that was at the start of all this. There's no question that it is sad. But what has emanated over the last, 12 hours or so, 10 hours or so, is just one of the most bizarre stories you can think of. And I cannot think of something stranger in the world of sports that just came out of complete nowhere, right?
Well, imagine
Scottie Scheffler getting arrested on his way to the PGA Championship.
Imagine any other sport, a guy at the top of the game. Imagine Patrick Mahomes getting arrested 2 hours before opening kick in Kansas City. Then he makes it out on the field and is starting the game 2 hours after he gets arrested and puts up 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. Like, whenever I try to quantify it in any other sport, I go, this is absolutely insane. It's even insane for golf, but like, how is this story today real? I mean, I woke up this morning and sent the story to Schmidt because I knew we're going to have to talk about this. This is crazy.
Yeah, amazing.
We kicked off the show with plenty of Scheffler and comments from his attorney, comments from Scheffler himself, the eyewitness reporting by Darlington as he's filming.
Throw Darlington into it.
For God's sake, yeah. And it just... Bill, you've been around enough pro athletes that there is the mistake that, and I'm not insinuating Scheffler did this. The truth will come out. I hope there's body cam footage. Did the officer feel disrespected and jump on the vehicle, or did Scheffler just not obey the officer? Clearly a communication breakdown from the traffic enforcement where he's been told to do one thing, does another. It rubs one officer the wrong way. So we need all of those logistics to shake out. And I'm always, based on spring break history, when the officer tells me to do something, I'm going to do it. And away we go. But with Scheffler, he seems like the guy in the world of pro sports that isn't going to pull the "do you know who I am" card. He didn't even do that today as he's being let off in cuffs.
Yeah.
A lot of athletes and a lot of people with giant egos they play that card.
Yeah. Well, I mean, consider the chaotic nature of what was transpiring at that moment, and the time of day, the darkness. I know the guy, the officer was apparently wearing the vest that illuminates and all that, but it just seems that it must have been chaotic. It had to have been, exactly what am I supposed to do here? Where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to see here?
High stress.
Yeah, high stress for everybody. And then you get this picture of Clint Eastwood as Dirty Harry jumping on the hood of the car at the end of Mangham Force. I mean, he attached himself to his car, right? And you're like, he stopped what they said 10 yards. Well,
that's not very far.
That's not very far. And you're right. Everything's going to come out. And the fact that Darlington was right there chronicling everything, and there will be, body cam and all that. I think just high stress, high chaos, very, probably not well organized maybe at that time, but it's just one of the most bizarre stories I can ever think of. And to have it to be happening at a major,
the owner of the venue picked up Scheffler and brought him to the course. Like, if you're the city of Louisville, you've got the Derby and you want to keep bringing in NCAA tournaments, you want to bring in majors, right? And if this is a sideways situation where it was an error by city officials, that's not good. PGA is going to be like, peace out, dude, never again.
Yeah, and look, everybody should be supporting police officers and the high-stress situations that they are in. But this just seems like an incredible overreaction in a high-stress situation. At that time of day, I think it was raining again. Just everything that could possibly warrant the ingredients for something like that to happen. But again, good on the guys, the Happy Gilmore fan club that's printing out the T-shirts. I'm waiting for that. There was that photo that came out of Donald Trump that they put on the tatted up body and the chains and everything. That I'm waiting for that to come out with Scheffler. There's probably going to be somebody's going to come out with some type of memorabilia of him living the gangster life. And
there's already a picture of Scheffler's face superimposed with some dude who's got the 2 teardrop tattoo on the side of his cheek.
One thing I have done today, I have tried to avoid Twitter because the memes are going to be glorious.
They've been great.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Look, I got stuff to grade. I got people to pass and graduate. But if I were to get lost in the meme world today with Scottie Scheffler and the Thug Life, oh my gosh, there's no way I'd get anything done.
It's Andy and Red and Shawshank, i.e. Scotty and Tiger.
People are funny.
Funniest thing I saw today was Brad Pitt and Moneyball, and it said, Rory got divorced last week, Scotty got arrested this week. See, we can recreate Tiger in the aggregate.
How about the golf cart with all of the police cars chasing them on the 5? That was pretty good too.
That was from our friend Clausburn.
Too good.
Bill Doleman's with us, Hail Varsity Radio. Bill, some thoughts on Athletic Director Troy Dannon. We have some direction now with the Memorial Stadium seating situation. They are not punting South Stadium. They are going to focus in on chairbacks in the East and West Stadium, which means the grandfather clause gone. And so they're going to take care of the East and the West from a revenue standpoint. Everyone's going to need a seat license is how I read that. And they're not going to demolish the South Stadium. North Stadium, you can't have chairbacks, just the way it's set up. And what's your reaction to all of this, being around the program as long as you have been with the grandfather clause? Because you have families that have been in their same seats we could be talking 5 generations here.
And I think that those people who have been generational Husker fans will always be. There might be those folks who have not been Husker legacy, season ticket holders who may be the ones who decide that they want to fall by the wayside, and that's just kind of the era of college football that we're in, because every game is on. And when all of this began with those legacy families, that was back when, Devaney was here and no games were on TV. And then really through the 1980s or so, there might be 1 or 2 games on TV at most. And then college football erupted on ESPN. And now every game is on. And look, economic times call for people to make decisions that, they may really, be tugging at the heartstrings to be going to Lincoln on Saturdays. But the pocketbook is telling you, you know what? Times are tough and it's best to just stay and enjoy the game on TV, right? And things might turn around. Who knows? That it becomes more economically friendly for people to do that. But I think most people have probably been thinking over the last 10, maybe even 20 years that something's going to be happening at Memorial Stadium that's going to be an upgrade in terms of its amenities, its seating, and that they might get squeezed out. I don't think this is going to it would be a shock to anybody. They just hoping it wouldn't happen to them. But I think people will make a decision that's going to be based on what's best for their families. I think that that there will be something done with that area underneath the South Stadium, right? It may not be something that is attached, the total destruction and everything is just one large big piece of Lego that's going to go in there and you can go from your seat to the restaurant or whatever. I would imagine that there will be some type of construction underneath the stadium on the south side that will provide amenities that may not be as convenient in terms of leaving your seat and then going back in, going to the restaurant or to the club or whatever it is. There won't be that immediate access. It might take a little bit. You leave your seat, you go, and perhaps you're committed. But at some point, they'll do something down there to.
Do you put a club in? Do you put a party deck? I mean, what do you think is possible for a revamped South Stadium? What would make sense if Bill Doleman's got the hard hat on?
How about a dispensary and a sports book?
And a bar. Don't forget a bar.
I'm pretty sure there's going to be one of those anyway. I'm sure maybe Cornhead Lager might have first dibs on whatever club goes in at the South Stadium lounge. But look, the old athletic department is that shoebox that's underneath the South Stadium, and that's really been, from what I've understood since I've been back, really underutilized. It was supposed to be some computer science lab, and I guess they do use it for some purpose. But with all the construction going on campus, I would think that they would find a place that they could, devote 100% to it that would be as up to date as everything that they're doing with Nebraska football over there by the old Coliseum. So I think that little building could probably be, pried away, gone away, swept away rather easily, with some type of construction that would go up, and maybe it would even take over that parking lot, that has about 50 stalls. So you could have where the shoebox, I just call it a shoebox because it's just a rectangular cube, and put something there that has a restaurant, a lounge, some type of festival tailgate type atmosphere, bands that would perhaps play. Before games, after games, why have people walk all the way downtown? I know Embassy Suites has had a good thing for a long time, but why not have one, on a rooftop underneath the South Stadium after games? Or, they've got the Champions Club area. They can do a lot of things, I think, in that area that would, increase the fan experience.
Well, Bill, to put it simply here, with revenue sharing likely coming for the student athletes in college football and all of college sports, Nebraska just needs to find a way to be able to get every single possible penny out of that stadium that they can, right?
Absolutely. And that's why I say you look at that space, you never want to lose parking, but, maybe instead of just putting something that fits in there, that you utilize that space, make something a little bit bigger and just increase, everything around Memorial Stadium is going to enhance the fan experience and maybe the collegiate experience. Maybe there's something that they can do for the student athletes that would also provide support services. Certainly they have it for football. Maybe there's some structure that could go in that would help other student athletes as well. I don't know, but I think that space will be developed in some way. It's just not going to require tearing down the South Stadium.
Bill will wind it down with this. Bill Doleman, the professor, Pride of Fairbury, Hail Varsity Radio. About 45 seconds, Bill. Your expectations for Nebraska baseball this weekend. Is it a sweep? Is it 2-1? What's your take heading into Omaha next week?
Off to a good start, right? So that's getting game one ought to give them momentum. And thank God there was no midweek game for them to have to try and bounce back from, right? So after what they did to win those two games against Indiana, and to win the opener and to win a close game, they ought to have all the momentum going into games 2 and 3 against Michigan State. I think they can certainly pull off a sweep. Go 2-1, that's fine. Go 2-1 at Michigan State. Get yourself a good seed in Omaha, and you're set for a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. Last night's game was critical, and they got it done.
Bill, we'll see you this weekend. Thanks for a few minutes, man.
All right, boys. Go Big Red. See you later.
Good to hear from Bill Doleman, Pride of Fairbury, NBC Sports, and we'll dive further into stadium experience. What do you want as a fan? As Dannon laid it out, that's on the way.
Hail Varsity Radio is live. Now, back to Schmitty.
Schmitty's a great guy, but he don't have a brain.
And Elijah.
You want me to speak? We're not pointing you yet.
On Hail Varsity Radio.
Hail Varsity on a Friday, powered by Cornhead Lager. Don't forget the weekend edition tomorrow, 7:45. Mark Cranack, myself, Mr. Elijah Herbel, as we'll get you going. Nebraska baseball through 5, up 5-0 on Sparty. And get up to CHI tomorrow. Your maybe soon-to-be champions, the Supernovas, in action in Omaha, the inaugural Pro Volleyball Federation Championship. The Supernovas handle business on May 15th. It's a stage is set for a championship tomorrow afternoon at CHI, and they'll battle it out for PVF supremacy and $1 million. That's one hell of a purse. So get your all-session single match tickets now. Log on if you haven't yet today, supernovas.com. So we talked with Doleman.
Did you see Jordan Love was in attendance on Thursday, and Jason Derulo?
I saw that.
Jason Derulo is going to be in attendance for that Pro Volleyball Federation Championship coming up. So that'd be pretty. Are you a Jason Derulo fan?
You know, I'm sure I've heard him, but nothing in the old playlist.
Shame.
What's your favorite tune?
Putting me on the spot here. I love all the Jason Derulo music.
Google Derulo songs quickly.
It's all good. I love it all.
You like it all, huh? Yeah, me and Jimmy Buffett. Yeah. So let's talk Troy Dannon shifting the Memorial Stadium renovation plan, and that focus is going to be on monetization. So that next budget line item will be revenue sharing and how much dinero these student athletes get, 15 to 20 million if you want to be competitive. That's the word from former AD Trev Alberts, and he's been a voice even with his move to many in the national media. So listen, the sequencing of construction has been upended. So no longer will South Stadium get the old wrecking ball. It's not coming down after 2024. A major piece of that $450 million project laid out by Trev Alberts, approved by the Board of Regents in October of 2023. You have Dannon that got here in March. So the shift has now been to East and West Stadium. And we know that they're shifting the sideline to West Stadium, but they want to put chair back seatings on both sides. The rationale, he said, is quite simply the East and West have potential to monetize themselves. East and West in the lower bowl on the east side hold 24,000 seats. The installation of chairbacks would require reseating of season ticket holders and come with a reduced capacity, an increase in fan amenities, and a rise in revenue generated by required donations. Nebraska's athletic department collected a record $204.8 million in revenue from 2022 to 2023. Big Ten media rights have gone up to about $1 billion per year, split between the member schools. And right now, Nebraska still faces a bit of a revenue problem because of shifting forces in college sports. The possibility of a settlement looms with the landscape changing in that NCAA court case. You settle, and you're going to settle for multi-billions of dollars, but it likely will be cheaper now to settle for a little over $5 billion versus $20 billion or $15 billion, or as that price tag keeps going up. Long and short here, it's not urgency, but there's a demand to support the cost of college athletics. You want a good team? I think you've got the right coach. I think you got the right quarterback. And I think you got the right orbit and solar system, quite frankly, of assistants, players, development. It's set to take off. Basketball went to the tournament. Softball gave her hell with a badly injured season, right? Baseball's knocking on the door postseason. So things are on the uptick. Football pays the bills. Volleyball's incredible. Don't get me wrong. You're going to need to spend it if you want to be a part of it. And with the population base that is the East and West, those folks, there's more folks in those sections, and the grandfather is going goodbye. And that is going to be tough for some to take. But I would think you'll have the opportunity to keep your seat. You're just not going to get it for as cheap as you used to. You're going to have to donate to dear old Nebraska U, and it's going to cost you more to be a part of it. You don't want to, like Billy D was saying, there's a tailgate and a TV for you if that is your option.
And one of the things I'll say here is if we take it back a couple of months to when Troy Danon was announced as athletic director, what was the hallmark of Troy Danon's career everywhere he's been? He's going to get the football program right so he can squeeze every penny he can out of the football program to fund everything else that the athletic department wants to do. That's what this is about in my eyes, is I think he feels like the football team is on the right paths. So now let's start down the path of squeezing every penny we can out of the football team for the overall health of the athletic department, which as you look at revenue sharing being on the horizon, that's one of the things you have to account for, is that, as you kind of laid out, $15 to $20 million worth of your budget every single year is going to start going to paying the student athletes. So how can you go squeeze another $15 to $20 million out of the old lady on First and Vine? Or 10th and Vine, excuse me, I screwed that one up. But how do you squeeze an extra $15 to $20 million out of that? You get rid of grandfathering however you can. You make some improvements to the stadium to give yourself a reason to get rid of that grandfathering clause into the donation price so you can generate more donations every single year, so you can charge more for the same seat, just so you can squeeze, as I said, every single penny out that you can. It's what Troy Danon's hallmark has been. I remember Trev Alberts laid this out whenever he first announced the stadium renovation, as if we get rid of grandfathering, maybe it's going to lower the price of tickets everywhere else in the stadium. I don't believe that one bit. I think ticket prices are going to remain the same. They're going to try to get more donations out. And at the end of the day, I think you're going to do it in the name of the overall health of the athletic department so you can make more money, so you can continue to be one of the standard athletic departments in all of college football, one of the places that everyone looks to and says, how is Nebraska doing things?
You've printed money and you haven't been winning for 10 years. That is a testament and a statement in itself to the fan base. And quite honestly, if you're going to reduce capacity, fine. It's not a great call, but make it more comfortable instead of getting splinters in your ass. I mean, it's not comfortable for many folks that have gone. And I haven't been to a game in the stands for a while. I think Idaho State, but even talking with Junior and my mom when she takes the grandkids, I mean, it's the experience. It's fun. How about you get a coach, you keep a coach, you get a quarterback, you keep a quarterback, you get a hell of a football team that folks they don't care. Nebraska fans will spend to be a part of it all. Look at all the glory years that existed 30 years ago. There wasn't a bowl game that didn't have 15 to 20,000 Nebraska fans. How many times have we walked to the stadium the last 10 years where you can pick the 50-yard line because ticket folks are selling seats. You want one of the 50, you want the 40, you want the South. I mean, dude, you can get into any game. And that includes, there's some are harder than others. We talked to that Michigan 2021 game, but you could get into that game if you wanted to, and you didn't have to kill yourself financially, comparatively speaking to some past years. No, make it a situation where it's comfortable to sit in. You can have a cold beer. And, oh, by the way, it is absolutely a scarce secondary ticket market because everyone wants to be in, having a cocktail, watching warm-ups, and seeing a really good product on the field. It's all going to take care of itself.
Yeah. And I think that's a convenient way to sell being able to make more money. It's about fan experience. You want the fans to have the best time. Well, you want the fans to have a comfortable experience, so they're willing to pay more for that experience. It always comes down to the dollars and cents.
That experience is winning 27 to 3 or 35 to 10. That's the experience you can't put a price tag on if you're a Nebraska fan. To get back to the good old days, I have no earthly idea. Have you checked online what Nebraska Colorado tickets are going for right now?
No,
I haven't, but we can, and that's going to be a memory moment. 2014 was a memory moment.
The get-in price as it stands right now, the lowest possible price I can find online, including fees, $315. That's in row 93.
Wow. So, yeah, I don't want to. I can understand bitching and moaning a little bit about the expense and just the price of living now. Totally get it. It's more expensive. That being said, for football, there's been so many folks that have donated for a lot of years that the last several years pre-rule, they've either given their seats away, they've stopped going to tailgates, or they'll hit one or two versus every Saturday because they just couldn't take what they're seeing on the field. And that's not a knock against the kids. It's about the adults supposedly leading the kids, coaching them up, or not doing that. So you're on the precipice right now of you're launching, whether you're ready or not, into a new era of college football. You're part of the Big Two for now, but you got to do something on the field. And in turn, you do something on the field, it's going to be a lot easier to charge what you want for chairbacks in the East and West.
Yep.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I haven't bumped into anybody that is able to afford the old skyboxes, but when did they do the skyboxes? When did Jack Pierce rock and roll and sell those skyboxes? That was 98. That was after 3 titles in 4 years. I don't know what Nebraska's future is. I do believe it will be postseason. I do believe it will be playoff contention. I do believe it will be playoff berths. That starts happening under Matt Rule. Name your price within good taste. I mean, you don't absolutely want to ski mask and gun somebody, but Nebraska fans will spend it.
You don't want to, but it might.
But you can.
It might come to that.
You might be able to. We'll talk to Clausburn. He's imaginary. He wears red. Some predictions and some commentary. Hail Varsity with you, powered by Cornhead Lager.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Well, the good news is we are 20 minutes away from a beer, probably a steak. The bad news is Clausburn has been detained. So we will try and see if Claus is ready in 10. We may have to postpone Clausburn. Last week, him and his buddy Red made us all laugh and cry with hilarity. That was pretty legendary from Claus and his buddy Red. Matthew is rocking the fanny pack. He wants us to call Dr. Rob Zadiska. We are going to try and get Dr. Rob on next week. Steven has a unique way of making donuts that he sent to us on Twitter. And I'll just say, Steven, you are free to set the odds and time, the over-under on when that weekend edition extravaganza starts tomorrow. So, Steven, the floor is yours to set the time we actually start the show tomorrow. Steven also wants a picture sent of the snake. You got to show Cranack tomorrow. Cranack's got a lot of friends and family from the Florida region. And Tiger Shark Diver wants to know if Claus was arrested. No, he is not arrested.
Detained and arrested are two different things.
They are. They absolutely are. One has cuffs, one has zip ties. Fair?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. What you think of EA Sports, college football? I know that there's some deals out there. Now, you've looked at it. I've watched the release video as well. They did a great job. I don't know what they're paying Axel and Slash and company for music rights. All that being said, I thought Nebraska was profiled as part of the tunnel walk in it early into the video. Is that another team that wears red?
That was another team that wears red. I believe it was Boston College.
No, that didn't look like Boston College.
You want to watch
it was red and white. Was it more Wisconsin? Nebraska was shown, but it was that back shoulder touchdown pass to Colorado.
Yeah, Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Nebraska was featured in the deluxe edition cover. There's a Husker flag.
With the flag, right.
Yeah, but we don't have the Husker tunnel walk just yet. I haven't seen that in the teaser video. It just makes the college football game release all that more exciting in July. We're getting more and more details. I do have some questions, like regarding some of the game modes I'd like to get answered. For example, can I make the risk and go to the sports book as a part of the Road to Glory campaign? Can I see if I can skirt past the NCAA violations and bet on myself? That's a question that I have. How prominently will NIL deals be featured? Do I lose NIL deals if I perform poorly in Road to Glory, or if my academics aren't to standard? A lot of questions that remain to be answered in the modern world of college football. How do they ingrain that into NCAA football? I say most of those half jokingly. But I'm super excited about this, Schmitty. We haven't figured out, are we going to be doing a best of show the day the NCAA football releases, so you and I can just play 40 games back to back to back during the show? Is that a possibility?
I don't know. I have not played EA college football, EA Sports college football. I in my basement somewhere, unless the German Shepherds chewed it up, is my PlayStation 2 from 20 plus years ago. And also my Joey Harrington EA Sports 2003, which was the 2002 season, which was Jamal Lord and Garth Glissman. And I think, who was the Matt Harrion, I think Kelsey, right? I mean, so that was the squad. That was the only college football game I had. Junior shook me down for Madden a couple of years ago, and I just haven't played much. He's got a computer set up, so he does most of his gaming on the computer. I know it's a download versus a physical disc now, but I think he might have a place. What generation are we on now? PlayStation 5, 4?
There you go, 5. It is a PlayStation 5.
So he might have a 5. I think he has a 5, but is a 4 still pretty high end or no?
Yeah, 4 still works. I'm not quite sure if the new NCAA football is going to be released on the PlayStation 4. We're kind of getting to that age now where they are going to stop releasing games on the old console. I actually haven't done the math. I have the PlayStation 5. I shelled out for that. Was that last summer unwisely? My roommates play it more than I do, to be 100% honest with you. But it's still a great piece of machinery. And once that game drops, I think I'll be getting my money's worth out of the PlayStation 5. That was one of the games that, like, every single year I would put in. This is, mind you, elementary school, middle school aged Elijah. Like, probably hundreds of hours every single year on EA Sports college football. So I am unsure what type of hours I'll be able to put in now at this point in my life. I haven't been the biggest video game guy as of late, aside from maybe a little bit of FIFA with the friends. Like, that's about it.
You've grown up?
I don't find the same enjoyment that I used to. And I don't know why with video games. Maybe it's because
every year Junior busts a controller and asks, air quote, Santa or Claus probably, for a new controller. And every year he gets a new wireless controller that are, what are they, $120 now?
I don't know. They're stupid expensive. I just have a policy in my house of not breaking my controllers anymore. I've made it past that point in my life. There are some moments where I think about throwing that thing whenever some 12-year-old beats me on FIFA and hops on the mic and decides to talk some trash. Like, there are the occasional moments, but then I think, like, it's my money now for this controller, so I can't do it anymore. But we'll see. Maybe NCAA football will bring back that middle schooler straight back out of me, and I'll be throwing controllers again. That'd be great.
No, and my brother's got the old Nintendo still. Yeah, 150. Vic chimes in. Vic, good to have you, bud. He's right. You can get Madden and college football for 150. That's the deluxe. And I'd check it out, I guess, but I haven't done video games for forever.
We'll do a single elimination tournament
at some point in your life.
Football at my house.
Okay. At some point, we used to do that with Tecmo Bowl. All of my cousins, we'd get together at Grandma and Grandpa's. We'd put the 6 teams we all like in a hat. You'd draw, and then we'd throw an outing, all of us. We'd throw our Christmas money we got in the stocking in one big pot. And the winner got it all. And you couldn't be the Giants and LT, or you couldn't be the Raiders and Bo Jackson on Tecmo with the turbo controller, because it was all bets off. Bo would run through, it was the Peter Griffin highlight, right? Where he just would run 200-yard gassers and no one would touch him with the turbo controller. But my brother has, I think he still has a Nintendo 64 with Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball, which is incredible. That's kind of my favorite video game. And then Mike Tyson's Punch-Out pre-rape arrest. So it was there, and I loved Punch-Out. And finally, career video game achievement, finally beating Tyson. Have you played that or no?
I have played the newer version.
There's a new version of Tyson's Punch-Out?
It was like not called Mike Tyson Punch-Out. It was like the updated graphics. What was it called? Fight Night, or I can't remember what it was called.
It's just called Punch-Out, I think. We'll wind it down Friday. Hail Varsity, powered by Cornhead Lager.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Very pertinent questions. Tuck asked a very pertinent question. What age did you stop playing video games? We would come back from the bars our freshman year. Hold on a minute. We would come back from the bars in college and play Bill Walsh's college football on Sega. And we would bet, and no one would ever collect because we would, it'd be way after last call.
I will say my video game consumption personally has gone down considerably since we kind of came back from all the COVID craziness.
Did you just go nuts during COVID?
Not really. Weekends, yes. Me and my roommates played a lot of NBA 2K and a lot of PGA Tour on the weekends. We actually had a board up where we tracked everyone's wins and losses. And I'm talking
along with Jello shots.
No. This was straight competition. I will say I won the NBA 2K board. We ended up playing something stupid like 150 games, and it was a triangular. me and my 2 roommates, we had the triangular going, and I had a very good winning percentage on 2K through that year-long process. PGA Tour, not so much, not really my game. But then ever since then, I play video games socially, like hanging out with some friends, drinking some beers, like, oh, we're going to fire up FIFA and just go round robin in FIFA and see who is on their game tonight. That's about the extent of my video gaming. I don't spend much time solo. The only game I really play solo at all is FIFA, where I go hop online and get angry at 12-year-olds who beat me. That's about it.
Once Carson kicked my ass in Tiger Woods golf. Out, retired.
That was the point where you realized you were officially old.
3 or 4 years old, and he's just crushing me. But I will get my revenge tomorrow on the golf course with Junior. Carson was pretty good at Grand Theft Auto. He killed it. Well, no, he was great. He really did well.
Carson, just the best criminal out there, man. He's so good at it.
No, he was good, and he justified raising his drug prices. I mean, the way he laid it out, I mean, he had his little business mind turning. I'm a horrible father, but he was all right at it. Let's tell you to buckle up. Be safe this weekend, please. Use your seatbelt. It saves lives. It prevents injuries only if properly worn. Make it click. A message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. Like and subscribe, Hail Varsity Radio YouTube channel. Check us out there. We'll be streaming there tomorrow for the weekend edition. Steven has set the bar at 7:51 tomorrow. That's what time he thinks the weekend edition starts. I'm saying 7:45. That's what I'm going to stick with. Tell us what you think on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. Like and subscribe, Hail Varsity Radio that way. Please give us feedback, good, bad, or ugly. We'll be happy to take it. And Vic says he's 55 and still going strong with video games. Tiger Shark Diver says Carson's a businessman. What of it? Pretty good.
I'm telling you, what we should do, Schmitty, is we should live stream you and me battling it out in NCAA football for supremacy. Hail Varsity Radio, NCAA football supremacy. We'll commentate and we'll live stream it.
Yeah, and I'm going to try and I'm going to put Harburg in the Taysom Hill.
And I'm going to hang 80 on you like Cardale Jones in the hospital.
That's fine. We'll just pretend. Yeah. There we go. See you tomorrow. Bye.